Morning, friends. 31st of March, Tuesday morning, and a couple of days into our isolation period that the government has given us. Just wanting to share a couple of thoughts with you around a devotional, and looking at Matthew chapter 14, after Jesus has fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, just a supernatural miracle, and he sends his disciples back to the boat to cross the lake while he goes up into the hills to pray. And the disciples find themselves, that's the context for the portion of the scripture this morning, disciples find themselves in this boat at sea in the middle of a storm. And we pick it up in verse 24. The disciples were in trouble, far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage. I am here." And I think those are words that we are needing to be hearing for ourselves in these times. Don't be afraid. Take courage. I am here. Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water." I think that's not the cleverest of questions that Peter would be asking, because obviously if he's going to ask Jesus a question, Jesus is going to challenge him on that. He's going to say, "Come." And he does. "Yes, come," Jesus said. And so Peter went over the side of the boat and he walked on water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Very interesting. He asks a question in the middle of the storm. In the middle of the storm, Jesus answers him, said, "Yeah, come, walk on water." And we are we're facing storms at the moment, and they come in various forms. And Jesus is calling us out of our boats to walk on water. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" Not a season for us to doubt. It's not a season for us to question. Is Jesus aware? Does he know what's going on? Is he here with me? He is. Verse 32, when they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. Then the disciples worshipped him. "You really are the Son of God," they exclaimed. Just an amazing story of Peter's faith being put to work. But more than that, it's a great picture of Jesus in control of all things. And despite the trials that we face, the things that we're going through, the pressures of having to be locked up at home, not being able to do our normal rhythms and routines, Jesus is still with us. And in these times, he's asking us and calling us to exercise our faith, to walk on water. Just a couple of points out of that scripture is that the disciples, very interestingly, have forgotten that Jesus has done this incredible miracle where he fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Very short memory, because the very next challenge they come up against, the storm in the middle of the night while they're in the boat, is that the scripture says that they were cowering. They were hiding down at the bottom of the boat, frightened because of the storm. I remember right at the beginning of the control measures put in place regarding the outbreak of this coronavirus, is that we were encouraged that we are not those who shrink back in fear, but we walk by faith. And so this is one of these moments of walking by faith that we are encouraged in this morning. And wherever you find yourself in your boat, whatever your state of mind, whatever is happening in your heart, just to know that Jesus is in control. He's calling us this morning to take courage and to trust in him. And he may be calling us to step out of what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, and to walk on water by faith. And we do that keeping our eyes upon him. So remember, Peter steps out the boat into the midst of a storm. It didn't say that he stepped out of the boat. In fact, I think it wasn't a stepping out of the boat, because the boats in those days had high sides. He had to, I think, cling to the side and then drop into the ocean before he could walk. That's my thought. But even that just that stepping out of the boat is an act of faith. And he's calling us to step out of our boat and to step into the storm. And so the storm is raging. It wasn't calm water. The wind didn't suddenly die down once Peter got out the boat. The storm was still raging. And in the midst of the storm, he's able to walk by faith. In the midst of incredible difficulties, he's able to walk on water as he kept his eyes on Jesus. The word says that when he stepped back into the boat, that's with Jesus. When Jesus was with him in the boat, that's when the storm stilled. And it's amazing that we might have the reality of everything going on around us, but there is this peace, there is this calmness in our hearts, there is this hope when we are able to hold fast to Jesus. And not only do we find peace, not only do we are our hearts stilled where there is fear, but it speaks to others around us. And so in that boat, where Jesus is in the boat with Peter, the other disciples, the other inhabitants of that boat in that moment exclaim this incredible truth. They say, surely you are the Son of God. And so they get to see Jesus with Peter, and they take hope and courage themselves in that moment. And so not only is it a time for us to step out on water, to trust Jesus, to walk with him, but we get this incredible privilege of bringing hope to others. And so read through that this morning, trust it speaks to you, send that off to others, encourage others. Feel free that if you got some thoughts around that, to share that. But it's been a great privilege and pleasure to share that portion of Scripture with you this morning to encourage you. Keep praying for you all. Look forward to the moment when we can connect again and just do life as we normally know it. But for now, we use the media, we use moments like these to connect with each other. Have a great week ahead, and look forward to being in touch with you all soon. God bless you.